Macro is really just mindset and perspective. Like, you're not gonna do the things that I am gonna talk about in the micro if you're not in the right place on the macro. Let me give you an example on the macro. A stunning majority of people in here are not unlocking the full max potential predicated on a lack of self-awareness. You'd like to be something, but you're actually not that. And what I mean by that is, when I think about video, there's all of us. I mean, when I look at my keynotes that I'm about to do, I'm like, oh, that's affected by Macho Man Randy Savage. That's affected by Richard Pryor and Chris Rock. Like, I can see like the things that I watched as a kid impact the way I talk. The reason I bring that up is I really think that self-awareness is one of the most significant aspects in winning in video. I think a lot of people are trying to do certain things that are just not there. Not that you can't build those skills, but I'm a very big fan of eliminating friction. I mean, the amount of people that I've watched in the last 15 years try to do me when they would crush by doing them, I bring it up all the time. Like, I'm a high energy, over the top, like very jerseyed out, super like I was just in Minnesota for 400 hours standing, taking selfies, fly to Vegas, do 3 talks. Like, that's a different kind of breed. Not that that's good, bad, or indifferent. I actually am trying to talk more about like, I don't view that as like better. I just view it as I'm very good at being me. I'm really good at being me. Like, the only thing I think I actually do special is be me. And I think when I think about how are you gonna win in this play, you've got to really be you, even when it doesn't seem that you works. For example, for a lot of the youngsters in here, and definitely for people over 40, this is gonna resonate. When I hit the scene on video and keynotes, I did not dress the part. I cursed crazy. Everybody told me I was gonna lose, I couldn't win, and it happened. Like, a lot of places wouldn't book me because I cursed too much. I didn't wear a suit, which was like fucking completely unacceptable 15 years ago. And like, people are like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I just don't have the ability not to be me. And I was willing to leave money on the table, accolades, everything. I was willing to leave everything on the table because I just did not know how to not be me. So as you sit here today, there's tactics, there's things, there's people you admired, you wish you were. I wish I could read. I'm being dead serious. I wish I could read. I have no reading comprehension. I have to waste my time on 5-minute calls all day long because I can't read an email for 13 seconds. I wish I could read. But I can't, so I have a different style. And that's how I think about video. It is very, when Musical.ly hit, and I knew it was gonna go. Obviously, TikTok bought it and became one and the same. Everybody around me was like, but you don't dance. And I was like, that's for damn fucking sure. Because by the way, if I danced, you'd see it by now. I was like, I'm not gonna dance like 14-year-old teenagers on TikTok. I'm gonna put out my content. I'm gonna know that 14-year-olds are listening, so the adjective might be different, the reference might be different, the context will be different. Video, in my opinion today, is a battleground of a quadrant that looks kind of like this. You need to communicate the way you communicate. There are people that are not dynamic, they're monotone, and they do just fine and dominate. They are. And so if you're a monotone person, then that's that. You have to know the context of where you're making the content. We're talking backstage. I argue that the place that I'm the least good at that is YouTube, ironically. YouTube's the one platform where I don't do best practices. I suck at thumbnails, I don't do breaks. Mr. Beast makes fun of me every week. Just text me, you suck. I'm like, you're right, because it's the one that I don't do. It's the one that I don't do. I do all the rest of them. So it's always contextual. But what I really think is that when you go into the macro place, you've got such an easier game to do the micro. The micro is very obvious to me, it's tactics, right? The tactics are clear to me, but most people don't execute on it because they don't have the first part down, right? If you don't know yourself and you don't have a grasp on that, you have no prayer on TikTok, and nobody should be confused in this room. The biggest arbitrage in attention in society is TikTok. Right this second, you want a tactic? There's no debate, there's nothing close. If you are not fully pot committed, into taking the opportunity on TikTok, you're missing the biggest opportunity since Facebook fan pages in 2012. Instagram hasn't been this good since 2011. And a lot of you know. How many people here put out content on Instagram? Raise your hands. Raise them high. How many people, by show of hands raising them, feel that it was going better 24 months ago? You know, so like the reality is that the supply and demand of attention moves on these platforms. The TikTok arbitrage is gonna close, and it's gonna close in the next 24 months, and the land grab is right now. The only thing I give a fuck about for you to win out of this whole talk is that you go back home and make 3 or 4 TikToks a day. I'd like you to be good at them, so I'll continue to talk, otherwise I could leave right now. But that game is about the context of knowing how to make a TikTok, which is very easy because you can just Google how to make good TikToks, and there's unlimited TikTok content on how to make good TikToks, but that's there. The question that I keep pondering of what I see is working and not working is, do you know yourself? Right? Like people if it doesn't come as easy as breathing oxygen, you need to understand why. If making videos doesn't come as easy as drinking oxygen, you have friction. You're insecure about the way you look, you're insecure about what you gotta say. Huge problem in this space when I analyze it, people talk about shit they don't know. Yeah. Like if somebody, occasionally, if I'm on a real roll of talking about the same shit for a while, I get comments left and right for a period of time where they're like, Garyvee, you say the same shit. And I'm like, that's right, motherfucker. Cause I believe it. Cause it's the thing to say. You know this. Some of you have been affected by other people, by myself. You've affected people. You sometimes say the same thing. Somebody's heard it 87 times. I said the same shit to my father this week here at VCon that I've been saying for 37 years, and he told me this time it clicked. The amount of people, watch this. You wanna see something cool? By show of hands, doesn't hurt my feelings. I'm detached from my success and from people shitting on me. By show of hands, how many people here, the first time they ever saw me, thought I sucked and was a scam artist and a piece of shit? Raise your hands. Raise them high. Higher, higher, higher. Right? And then how many people that just raised their hands were affected positively by a piece of content in their lives? That's it. That's the game. Got it? That's the game. The reason that was an interesting thing, and I hope people looked back and saw how many hands went up, if you can go from this guy's a piece of shit scam artist to this person positively affected me, that is only required and can only be achievable when you only talk about things you know and you're willing to say them 87,000 different ways. Most people get caught up because they feel like they've already said their thing and they just start making up some other shit. Right? I see people like, yo, I'm a real estate expert. And I'm like 6 months later, I'm like, I'm a crypto expert. And like 13 months later, I'm the king of cannabis. I'm like, this fucking person. You want to win in video? 2 very hardcore truths. 1, you have to know who you are as a communicator and not try to push yourself to be some other communicator. Some of you are funny, get funnier. Some of you are clever with words, feel comfortable. Some are loud as fuck, like me. Do you understand how real of a businessman I am and how many people think I'm a motivational speaker? Do you know how underestimated I am for my professional career, that people have no concept of how many big businesses I've built and what I do for a living because my style of communication feels spiely? And I'm willing to walk around on earth underestimated because I have no interest in slightly tweaking down my energy, because that's just not who I am. And it doesn't matter what people think. The truth is the truth. If you are not gift of gab, but you can what about making videos where you just read? It might not be as compelling as eye to eye, but that's you. Some of you shouldn't make video at all. You should leave right the fuck now. I'm being dead serious. Some of you should be writing because you're a remarkable writer and you're forcing yourself to believe that video is the only winning because you can see it, yet tons of people are winning writing. Some of you should take a beautiful photo and just write. Some of you should just make a video of something mundane that makes the point of your video. It's literally a video of a banana and you're talking about slippery slopes. You like that one? I think it's a good one. It's good, because this game is completely based on you being comfortable in the way you make and talking about shit you know. And most people are doing neither. I do it every day. I'm incredibly tenacious. I want to dominate everyone. Like I'm so competitive. I go to like things like this and I'm like, I'm gonna start a real estate company and put these out of business. I swear to God. And so it's really interesting. I took competition out of the book. I took competitiveness out of the book because while I was writing it, and when I write, I just talk and D-Rock films me. And I was like, I'm taking it out because I think I'm gonna write a book just on competition. I actually think one of the greatest reasons our society is struggling is because in the last 25 years, we decided to demonize competition. I think this concept of 8th place trophies has eliminated merit, created entitlement, and makes, like, you have 22-year-olds coming into the world and they're like confused out here. And I think that's the parents that just clapped are the ones that actually fucked it up. Self-awareness is in the book. I love that about my brother. I think I have it in spades. My sister's getting better at it. Self-awareness matters. I wish people loved themselves more. I think people, yeah, it's a big deal, man. It's okay to be bad at things. I can't read for shit. Just like legit. Have no reading comprehension, right? I curse like a sailor. You know, like, it is what it is. Like, I'm good. Like, you can start loving everyone else only after you start with yourself. And so I think about that a lot in life, and obviously the way I think about business, it really blends. Of course you're a bad boss, you're unhappy.
Now, do you think like a lot of those ingredients are a two-way street?
Meaning?
For example, you know, you're saying a bad boss, and we know that a lot of bosses are under so much pressure because of deadlines, everything of that nature. Do you feel like at times it's not just the leader, obviously that's got to show the way, but one of those that have to do it from a two-way street?
I don't. The leader's in control. If the employee stinks, fire her. Fire him. I think it's an excuse. Leaders work for their employees, not the other way around. I think bosses use that as an excuse. Well, my people stink. Fire them. Or, better yet, what about actually coaching them up? I mean, fuck, like bosses get employees and as if like they're there to serve them. It's fucking crazy. The entitlement by small business owners and managers is obnoxious. These are fellow human beings. You have people that own companies that I expect my people to work the way I work. I'm like, are you giving them the same money? The fuck are you talking about? I've never even remotely even crossed my mind in my 25 years that anyone should even remotely work as hard as me. They work for me, I work for them, but I'm getting different economics. Of course they should not work like me. The delusion, entitlement. Fucking bosses piss me off. They do. It's exactly why I don't have any. It's exactly why I don't have any. And I'm at the point in my life where I want to really show a framework to others because I know it works. And it's not a focused group of one. I watch. It's my greatest strength. Everyone's like, you predict shit. I'm like, I watch. I've never predicted a thing in my life. I've observed things earlier than others and have acted on them aggressively, quickly, and then been loud about them. But I don't predict shit. I'm not Nostradamus. And what I've observed is when a leader, when she and he really knows that they work for them, then they build real shit.
Who are some leaders out there that you feel demonstrate those qualities that could be good for the audience to study and learn from?
I don't really have the answers. I'll tell you why. I can only really co-sign somebody that I've seen in action, so I see it within my organizations, I see it in some startups, but none of them are public, right? So, but here's a good one, my friend. There's nobody out there that's confused. Who's confused about the basic civility required to be a nice person? There's nobody confused, right? Like, what show do you have to watch? What book do you need to read? This is very understood. People choose not to because of their own issues. Insecurity is the greatest poison in our society. Insecurity. It leads to such bad behavior. And some people, it's so deep that they convert it into such offense and are able to garner leverage. But it's kind of like Darth Vader. It's the dark side version of motivation, and you get killed in the end. And by the way, that shows up with, you made $39 million, but 6 people came to your funeral. Congrats.
Yeah, you don't have a legacy.
Congrats. Cool. By the way, no judgment. You want to live that life? Mazel tov, but fuck that shit.
You know, you'd mentioned that you, at the end of, I don't know what they're laughing at.
Well, there's a lot of funny shit being said up here, so I think they're enjoying it.
You want to win it. How do you want your legacy to be remembered?
That I gave more than I took. My final thoughts are be nice. Be fucking nice. And on that note, if you're like really self-aware and be like, fuck, I'm really not there, it's because you're not in a great place yet. And you can be. So be nice to yourself first. It's okay if you suck at shit or if you're not fully there. Good news. That's because of the way you grew up. Environment, parenting, DNA. Don't be hard on yourself. Just take a step back, take a deep breath, and start trying to chip away at it. One fucking interaction, one conversation at a time. You could be so fucked up for 42 years and still live the best life ever. It just started at, it's true. It just starts at 43. You can do this. You can absolutely do this, but it takes the work. And if you have the financial means, therapy is real. Get the poison out. Because it's a game of self-awareness. If, for example, if you're incredibly insecure of your visual appearance, you can't do video. It's a mental block, right? So now you might have to do audio, which all of a sudden becomes, should you do Twitter and do audio posts and post there, right? Like, for example, even though I'm a 5 or 6 time New York Times bestselling author, I can't put 2 sentences together. That's why I have to record all my books. I love when people come to when I do books and I have book signings, they're like, man, the book sounds just like you. And I'm always laughing. I'm like, because I fucking recorded it. And somebody put it into sentence form. So for me, I'm not gonna go to LinkedIn and write 4 paragraphs over, while I have a cigar or a glass of wine or on the treadmill, like we're walking, But for me, as many of you know, video comes very natural. So I think first, you have to know yourself of what format allows you to communicate. For a lot of people here, being an independent, a little scary. Maybe having a sidekick or a friend, now all of a sudden you got a podcast, right? So you have to know yourself first. After that, to be very frank, if you actually know how they all work, they can all be great. You can dominate on Twitter. You can dominate maybe you're a great host or hostess. All of a sudden, maybe it's a Facebook group that you should be building, right? So there's a lot of ways to win. Now, there are always moments of time where there's so much attention on a platform that if you post, you get more organic reach without paying. Everybody always gets mad at the algorithms. That's just supply and demand. You weren't there early enough. Instagram fucked me, it's free. get like 1 billion DMs from influencers. Gary, Instagram fucked me. I'm like, it was free. You made millions, it was free. So algorithms change not because you're a conservative, it's because they're running a fucking business, and more content means less, and less consumption means supply and demand. More kids went from Instagram to TikTok. More people are posting to Instagram than they did 2 years ago. What do you think is gonna happen? Of course your video's not gonna get 100,000 views anymore. It's gonna get 40,000. It's called supply and demand of attention. That's what I trade. That has been the foundation of my career. I had email newsletter in the 90s that had 95% open rates. I bought every wine term in the world on Google AdWords the day Google AdWords started. I started a YouTube show. Long form, was one of the first 5 humans on earth to do it. I was one of the first 30 people to have 1 million followers on Twitter. Like, this is my career. And so I understand it. And so the answer is, figure out your form of communication. If you're capable of doing TikTok, you go all in. And TikTok is not, 3 years ago, I'm like, TikTok, TikTok, TikTok. And everyone's like, it's 14-year-old girls dancing. I'm like, for now. Facebook used to be just college kids. Now it's just grandmas. It changes. Shit changes. It evolves. And so
I'm on Facebook quite a bit.
No worries, mate. Me too. Listen, I just got done saying it's my favorite platform right now because, like, no emotion, complete detachment. Like, complete detachment. It's just whatever the market wants. And so many people make judgments subjectively in their mind about things, and it's a mistake. If you're here, you're doing shit. Let there be no confusion. If you're here, you're doing shit, right? Especially for somebody, if you're 24 hours into feeling like, oh, Carl's really crushing it or Susan's doing it, if you feel any level of like that, you're completely confused, because if you're here, you're doing it, right? The question is, how big is doing it? And what do you actually want? And I think the thing that I would really try to land first before I go into other subject matters is, you'd be stunned how much your personal upside is being capped if you aren't profoundly kind to the people that work for you. It is a very grandma statement. It's a very kind of like foofy kind of like, the world is kind shit, but it is profoundly impactful. And so I would bet the farm that many dozens of people in here are dicks to their team. I would bet the farm on it. It is just the way the business world is. It's the way society is. And I beg for the people in here as I'm going on this subject matter, if it gives you any thoughts or feelings, if you want it for you, I promise you that what's happening underneath you and how you're setting the tone and what you're doing is a huge impact on your zeros. This is not about entitlement and letting people get lazy and like silly non-results things. This is about building empires. This is about building big empires, but you would be stunned, I believe. And the reason this is an important subject matter is, I'm sure at this point, plenty of people have heard about the Great Resignation, right? Because of COVID. The thing that I'm way more worried about as all of you go on your journey to build the things that you want to build is the great never applying in the first place. The amount of options 17, 19, 22-year-olds have going into the world, and they're aware of it, of how easy, that will be the word I use, it is to make $60,000 a year flipping on eBay, making content on TikTok, dabbling in NFT land. There are so many more options than what we grew up with if you're over 35 here, that it's profound and people are missing what's actually happening. And this is an absolute subject matter that I hope you take very seriously. If you are not focused on retention, people actually wanting to stay, if you are not focused on retention first, you will lose. And when I say lose, you'll still win, but you'll lose upside that you can't even see. So it's incredibly important, since we have time together on this day, that we nail this subject matter, which is, first and foremost, the number one thing as you think about how you're spending your money to make more money, AKA marketing, you have to take your personal opinions off the table. The number one reason so many people struggle is because they say dumb shit like, well, I don't like TikTok. Who gives a fuck, Carl? Do you like money? This is the profoundly most fundamentally silly thing that I hear every day of my life. Gary, I don't get YouTube, but trillions of people do. I don't like it. You probably don't like a lot of things you do every day. If you're here, my favorite thing about a group here is that you eat a lot of shit every day to make it happen. There's plenty of things you don't like. This is not about what you like or what your opinion is of a platform or you don't like technology. Some people try to go so lofty with me. Gary, I'm not doing it because it's bad for the kids, right? Like, or they go political. It's like looking for any excuse not to put in the work to something they don't understand yet. And so for me, when I look at the landscape of what's happening in the world, the speed in which attention is shifting is profound.
So what drives you?
A level of gratitude and guilt that I have such a natural talent to communicate and execute that I can have a profound impact, and I feel a sense of obligation to kind of leave it on the field.
To not waste it.
Yeah, it's kind of a curiosity of like, how good can I do it? You know? Like, it's like, again, for the people that raised their hands and for the people that don't know me well, like my big thesis is you have to cut out the noise, all of it. Especially the positive noise. When everybody tells you you're great and you're awesome, you become addicted to that. Now you're completely vulnerable to the negativity. The reason I'm so out there on social is because it's hard to be so out there on social. Most people can't deal with the heat. They don't like when somebody says they're ugly or stupid or full of shit or a scam artist or they suck or they're overrated. People don't like that. I don't care, not because I'm so cool, it's because that person doesn't know me. How can I possibly be upset when Sally Pants 47 is having a bad day? Sally Pants 47 is having a bad day and decides to take it out on me because I look too happy. I'm not mad at hate, I'm compassionate to hate. But at the same token, knock on wood for me, 90% of my comments are just little goat emojis. and that requires even more tune out. Because when you get high on your own supply, it's a wrap.
So I know that I know I've heard you talk a lot about, well, like you said, from switching to email. When you said that, I was thinking of my mom because she was in school, and they said, "Oh, we're going to email," and she's like, "Why the heck would we use email? I can just walk down to the other classroom and just give teacher so and so a message." I know I've heard you say you're bullish on. Do you know? I apologize.
Do you know that when Canvas came out, all the artists said that wasn't real art? That if you didn't put it on buildings, it wasn't real art? You should go read what they said about the television. Like, we always demonize new technology. Humans are incredible at romanticizing yesterday and demonizing today.
A little bit more about your experience tactically in the early days with building out processes, delegating work, and generally just being able to free yourself and set your employees up for success. Because I think that's the part where we're sort of...
Well, you're not there yet.
Yeah.
Like, when VaynerMedia was less than 15 people for the first 2 years, I didn't have to think about that shit. I just did everything.
Yeah.
Who the fuck are you delegating to? You've got 3 of you.
Right. Yeah. Well, so I guess
Are you more talking about maximizing the efficiency of your time when there's only 3 of you?
I think that's more of what it is. We're actually manufacturing all the products. Like right now, I did hire somebody in February who's been awesome, and he's helping with production on one of the product lines. I'm doing all the production on the other product line. And so it's really maximizing the efficiency. And as our goal is to scale via coming up with totally new to world products. So we have patents on our current products, but we want to just keep pumping out new products.
You want to?
Yeah, we want to.
Why?
We love the, truthfully, we love the process of inventing.
Good.
Right? And coming out with stuff.
Well, good. I mean, one thing that I like opening businesses. I like doing 100 things. One thing you have to do mentally is understand that if that's what you love, you will drop the ball.
Yeah.
If you're gonna invent 17 things, like 12 things are gonna get fucked. And as long as you understand that, you'll actually not stress on things that don't matter. I am a voracious entrepreneur and have a voracious need to open up companies. I have to then also understand that Vayner Live, Vayner Sampling, and many other Vayners that nobody hears about here failed because when you're doing 39 things, that's what's gonna happen. Those divisions failed within VaynerMedia, right? I tried to do small business stuff before, then finally Sasha worked. But you know, somebody says focus on one product first. Susan, that works for her. That's good for Susan. That's not good for you and your brother, and you shouldn't, because you know that you, and how do I know this? Because you said just now in a way that landed for me, you know, we just enjoy the process of inventing. And I think people don't understand what we should all be doing out here is enjoying it more so than maximizing every dollar. There are people who love their business at 3 million a year and then think they need to grow and go to 4 million, but they had to hire this and they had to do this, and now they hate it. And I'm like, why didn't you just stay at 3 and be fucking happy as fuck?
Yeah.
I don't think everything I'm doing is always gonna be the best money maker or success in the short term. But if I don't live my truth and continue to innovate every day, well, then I'm not gonna be happy, and then none of the businesses are gonna work. VaynerMedia is successful because I do Garyvee. VaynerMedia is successful because I do help my dad with his wine stuff. VaynerMedia is successful because VeeFriends exist. I need everything to make me happy, thus the things that have clicked will work. Too many people, so for you, it's hard to prioritize because you're fucking inventing so many products. But the good thing is you're actually winning because you understand that you guys love the process of inventing. And though Susan is right for herself and many others, and really even logically, right? She's not right for you two. You two would rather enjoy, and you're so damn young that you should only do the things that actually bring you the most happiness, because that will actually make you win. It's okay on paper that it doesn't work for others. The reason Buster Levine just said this is exactly what I need to hear. This is a massive common problem that most people haven't dissected the way I'm talking about it right now.
You have to create, in my opinion, systems and processes to hopefully allow that to run so you can move on to the next one. And so I think that's where we've struggled to like get it organized.
You haven't struggled. Your company's too young.
Yeah.
You're creating an ideology of like, we should be here. How long has the company been existing?
It's been 3 years.
It's 5 minutes. You know, that's 5 seconds, right?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it, but I know, yeah.
It's 5 seconds. Like you've launched 2 products?
Yes, we have 2 products out right now, and then we'll have a third coming.
And you're profitable?
Yeah.
Do you understand how fucking amazing?
But yeah.
Fuck Hardly, you didn't go out of business. Most people are out of business in 3 years.
Right.
And Hardly is, you're fucking profitable.
Right. Yeah, no, you're right.
Like cool, I'm very thrilled that you're ambitious and you'd like it. We all want to be better and do better. But the good news is you're not struggling with it. You just haven't gotten to it.
Yep.
You just haven't gotten to it. You're not struggling with it. You fucking have been doing too many things. You're like successfully entrepreneuring.
Yeah, well, I'll give credit to my brother because he really started this thing from the ground up, and I think so since I graduated last year, I joined in, and now it's been how can we continue to grow and scale and free up more of our time to work.
Can I give you a huge piece of advice?
Please.
Never, ever, ever choose money or your own pride and ego over your brother.
Yeah.
You are about to go through a thing where, money is binary. Some people just love it so much that they're willing to hurt their relationship with their family. And that's very challenging. It's grounded in a lot of insecurity, but it is what it is. And it's kind of an easy one. The second one is harder. The need to say, bro, I did that, you did this. This kind of feeling of competitive spirit of like, no, yo, bro, you came up with the invention, but that marketing campaign I did on TikTok, that's why. And to have the humility, the reason I successfully worked with my dad and my brother was the humility for me at the end of the day. As much as I was like, I'm the guy, and what really at the end of the day mattered was not choosing my own feelings of need, of like validation and money. Never, at the end of the day, sure, in little riffs, but in real life, never choosing that over the love of my brother and dad is the greatest single business accomplishment of my life, and it's not even close.
I appreciate you saying that. Yep.
You guys are really young. You're hungry, you're ambitious, you're doing it together. This is gonna be the best years of your life. You are gonna remember these days more than anything.
Yep.
It can go sour really fast if you do not deploy that humility and choose it because you love your brother.
As we keep doing the work as a small to medium-sized creator influencer, how can we be smart so that in the next 6 months to the next year, we can keep building on this and possibly making a career out of it?
Look, I mean, I think the reality is it comes down to only two things. One, continue to put out meaningful content in as many places as possible. Two, try to get major brands to sponsor early and lock you in. So going from a side hustle to something more meaningful comes with the foundation of like, can we get the finances that allow us to get there, right? And one of the ways to do that is to go to a Nike or Pepsi or, any Walmart, any large business, or not even one of those top 5, but even a top 5,000 company and say, look, you should sponsor our family's content, right? And sponsorship comes in the form of like actually being able to extract bigger dollars, maybe even before you own them. Meaning, even before you're there, somebody could decide to give you $500,000 to buy, especially as a family content play, like Best Buy might just be in the mood to write you a bigger check, And so I think that there's two ways to go about this. One, business develop and try to get macro sponsorship deals that allow you the finances that you allude to by going all in. And the other part is the mundane. It is, why I've lost some weight here in the first 3 weeks of the year. If you do the right things, it will work out. And the longer you do them, the longer they work out. And the more you pump out content on YouTube Shorts and TikTok and Instagram. And do you start a podcast? Do you do an interactive show like I'm doing right now? Do you build a Discord to put your community in there and interact more? It is really just the blocking and tackling that is required to build something meaningful. Reading all the comments right now from all the, people on YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook right now, and definitely because I've been in NFT land, I'm just flabbergasted by people's absurd interest in things happening immediately. So many people are about to lose so much money in NFT land, not because of anything else, but their own short-term greed and want to make a quick buck. Every internet stock in 98, 99, and 2000 was overpriced, but sitting there was Jeff Bezos, and he got hammered. His fucking stock got destroyed in that. But he sat there and he's like, cool, I'm just gonna keep navigating. Same for me, right? Like, if all VeeFriends, which, listen, and I think there will be, but I've been wrong many times, if there's an NFT crash overall, it's a correction.
Yeah.
It's a correction, it's not a elimination. Right. And VeeFriends go down, I'm just sitting there like, okay, it's time to I've been here before. Yeah. 9/11 crushed Wine Library. 9/11, all our business was Wall Street. 9/11 crushed Wine Library. 2008 economic crash, we had tens of millions of dollars on wine pre-sales. Lehman Brothers crashes, we get 8 trillion cancellations. It crushed us. It crushed us. COVID. Like, I fucking have been here. Like, I've done this shit. And so I know how to get through dog shit. And there are a small percentage of operators that know.
Well, I think that's the main concern is you see all these NFT projects, not to get caught up on this because I have a separate question, but you see these projects and you wonder, well, who are the people that are leading this thing and what is the value that they're going to provide long term?
And by the way, that happens in startup land all the time. Yeah. I pass on most startup pitches I look at, right? Mm-hmm. And 99% of the time, those companies go out of business. The people that lose money in that scenario are the investors.
Yeah.
What I'm worried about is the people that are going to lose money this time are the buyers of these NFTs, and I don't think a lot of them understand how everybody has to look in the mirror and genuinely challenge themselves and say, what am I hiding? What am I full of shit about? The only way you can fix things is acknowledging them. There's no shot that you're going to fix it if you're still in the delusion that you don't have a problem.
Correct. Yep.
I subconsciously knew the candor thing was fucked up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you knew forever.
Forever.
Of course. Like, you knew in the 10:30 to 12:01 block how much that sucked. You knew it sucked.
Yes, it would happen infrequently enough that the
you could avoid it.
That's right, and it was a lack of accountability, which is my biggest strength in business. But of course, because it's my half, this is where I wasn't accountable. I'm like, Susan should have known she sucked.
It was very obvious that Susan sucked.
How the fuck does Ricky not get it?
Yeah,
fucking Ricky. Like he should. Like, come on, right? And it was also a level of ego. I would care about them so much because I go very family with employees pretty fast. Like, I thought, well, they'll be better with me. Ricky stinks, so he might as well work here because he's definitely not going to do well out there.
Yeah,
you know,
that's right.
So there was a level of ego in it.
Also, I can save Ricky.
Oh my God. And, you know, the whole meme of like the girl that tries to fix the bad boy.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I would have been the worst girl. Yeah. Like I would have tried to fix that would have been my job 20. That's the only dudes I would have dated, especially 5 o'clock shadow, light eyes, I would have been dead.
Yeah.
So anyway, that
man is irresistible.
I really think that it comes down, the answer to your question is accountability and self-reflection and truly challenging yourself to have the combo. The reason gratitude is number one is the whole thing starts with gratitude. Anybody who lives in a first world country should really take a step back and understand that there's 850 million people, almost three times the size of America. Right now, as we sit and film this, there are 850 million people that do not have access to clean water. Like, you're complaining that you didn't go viral on TikTok this month? Like, you're upset that your Uber's 5 minutes late, or you don't have Wi-Fi on United on the way back. We just aren't grateful. Mm-hmm. We're not grateful.
Yeah.
When you think about this, number 11, humility is impossible. Mm-hmm. One of the great things for everybody who's watching, because we're talking a little bit about management right now, but this is written for entrepreneur, employee. One of the scenarios in this book is you and your friend are both in the same department. You are best friends, and they get the promotion and you don't. That has ruined a lot of great friendships. Why? Both of you are going to move on to different companies anyway. Why would you burn a bridge?
You're not the same person.
Yeah, it's like at 24 when Sally gets in, not you, but you've been awesome friends since college for 2 years because you met at the office a year in, you're living together. This is all stuff that I'm sure resonates very well with in here because our companies have had similar paths. Like you don't have the humility to be. First of all, I talk about something very important. A human being made a subjective opinion that Sally's slightly better than you, which doesn't mean it's true.
Right. That's
I've been wrong a million
opinion.
Times, and I have great emotional intelligence. So why are we don't get your feelings caught up. This is why I hate school. School trains people to believe in subjective opinions.
Sure, as law.
Grades every 90 days. You just become a fucking robot. You just play within a system, and we lose sight of the bigger stuff. So humility is a huge one, a huge one. For content producers that are watching, one of the reasons I always talk about don't give a shit about the comments, it's not actually because of the hate. People think most of me talking about that is about the trolls, the hate, the negativity. I actually think the positivity is actually more dangerous. Once you get high on your own supply,
it's over.
You become really vulnerable. And so for me at this point in my career, because I do have a lot of love coming my way, I'm so glad I trained myself to not hear it one way or the other because it keeps you humble and grounded and keeps you curious. Curiosity I think is a massive thing for success. Well, if you think you're the GOAT, you don't think you have to put in the work to be curious. You know how many Instagram goats are not putting in the work for Web3 and are gonna get passed by? You know how many Instagram goats didn't listen to me when I talked about TikTok and let it go by? Like, lack of humility and curiosity will keep you stuck in your spot forever.
Yeah, that's right. I also think caring is a big piece of it. Like, we had someone pretty senior leave last week, and the person did not say goodbye to anyone in their peer group. Which
Were they
I was
upset?
like,
Were they
I
upset
don't
about
know.
leaving?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm like, that's
listen,
a pretty big statement.
I don't know what is it. I don't even know if an Irish exit is like a bad term. I don't know what the current politically correct statements are.
I bet
We're
you
good with
probably
that, right?
can't say it.
We haven't
We're
canceled
good.
that, right? Yeah, I'm good with that, right? But whatever that is,
Why would Irish people leave early though?
I have no idea where that
What
bullshit.
is that about them?
All I know is, let's just call it a Garyvee exit, because
Okay.
I've lived it my whole life. I did it this weekend at NBA All-Star. I
You're like,
literally
just
left
snuck out
Tyler.
the back.
Just left.
Yeah.
Just have no interest in the goodbye, and so maybe that's the corporate version of that. Like, I'm pretty I don't want to sit on this couch and be a hypocrite. I feel like I don't think that would be the way I would roll in that environment, but I definitely think that people sometimes just they're
like, we're done.
Yeah,
I'm done.
And you may hear from that person in a month
Later. Yeah, no,
and
I
that's
think
the
it's
thing.
interesting.
And that's the thing. I'm very big on this. The lack of, I think having the ability not to judge might be the greatest gift of all time. Like when you just told me that, my brain immediately went into what's going on with them.
Yeah.
Right? It's never about you. And that's where, if people ever figure that out, then you can have a really happy society.
Yeah.
People completely believe that other people's actions have something to do with them. It doesn't. It's I call it like the 8th grade zit rule.
Okay.
So in 8th grade, when you got a zit, you were like so fucking petrified to go to school.
Yeah, everybody's
The
gonna
night
see
before,
it.
It was
You're trying every product imaginable.
I went through puberty pretty late and got all my zits in college, which really fucking sucked.
Yeah.
But it wasn't too bad. But I was good in high school. But I know that feeling. And my point to everybody is, everybody's worried about their zit.
Yeah.
When you come to school,
nobody cares about your zit.
They're worried about their zit.
Yeah,
And the person that actually would pick on you for that, they're in the worst spot, because they're so insecure that they're gonna attack you first before you get to them.
Sure, they're gonna deflect off their
And
zit.
I think grown-ups just still play in high school.
Yeah.
I think we're in a place where all the same shit keeps playing out. And I think a lot of what I wanted to talk about in this book was, let's reframe shit because we can.
Yeah. First 30 minutes of your morning.
Pretty mundane. In the first 30 minutes, I'm doing shower, poopy, brush my teeth.
Shower, shit, shave. You're not shaving.
I don't shave often, but yes.
Coffee?
Yes. I like coffee. Kind of just makes me feel like the day's starting.
Grabbing your phone, not grabbing your phone.
Immediate grab phone. I know a lot of people are doing the whole progressive thing.
That's not for you.
Not for me. I'm a firefighter. I have offices in Singapore, London.
Yeah.
I have to make sure nothing is burning down.
Yeah.
I don't have that luxury.
Yep.
That's
and you also love it. You love what you do.
I do love it, but but honestly, it's not the best part of the job. This is where I'm in love with the number 2 or the number 3 or the number 4 for a lot of, unless you have the stomach to be a number 1, it's not exciting to wake up and be like, what are the problems?
Yeah.
All I do is what are the problems?
Yeah, you're like, that's what my day is like. All right, what's something you do every day?
That was a fire hose, not a gun, everybody.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It depends on who you ask. But what's something you do every day without fail?
Every day. I have a moment where I just say thank you that nobody I love died.
Okay.
Every day. Every day. It really works for me. It's the ultimate version of gratitude. I'm just grateful that the people I love are still with me today.
Yep.
It's big for me.
Do you make any time to do the yard sale thing anymore?
Oh yeah, I'm literally it was a little warm in New York the last couple days.
Yeah, this weekend was amazing.
I'm it's coming.
Season's here.
Trash talk is very important to me, because when I talk about NFTs, or I talk about investing in startups, or I talk about the stuff we talked about here, many people DM me and say things like, Gary, I only have $90, so I'm not buying shit. And so that kept building, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna start making content of what I did when I had $90. In high school and college, when I had no fucking money at all and I wanted it, I garage saled. And I didn't even have eBay yet. Like, I used to buy this shit and sell it at flea markets. That was fucking hard. When my brother was a kid, 11 years younger than me, and we started doing it, we had eBay, and that was insane. Early eBay, you got really paid in garage selling. And it's probably the thing I'm most excited about. The amount of people that hit me up and say, hey, I made $8,000 this summer.
And you're so fired up. It's like your victory.
And it's emotional stuff. It's, hey, I made $8,000. I paid down some credit card debt, and I'm taking my kids to Disney World this Christmas. Like, that's some like tear shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
It feels nice instead of like sleeping in on a Saturday. Accountability.
Yeah, sure. Yes.
Like, talk about something the world desperately needs. We want to blame the algorithm. We want to blame our parents. We want to blame the government. We want to blame everything. We have become addicted with pointing fingers, and nobody wants to point the thumb at themselves. I believe most people's unhappiness that are listening right now are completely predicated on their lack of accountability. If you are unhappy, you are actually in a position to fix it. If you are listening to this, you are of the means to fix it. And I think that accountability is the breakthrough of the next decade, because we've gotten very cozy with not being accountable.
Makes sense.
Right? Like, you're not happy about your boyfriend? Break up with him.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, everybody in Dubai right now listening, call your boyfriend that you're unhappy with and break up.
Let's do it on the radio.
I mean, but Rossi, it's important. Like, you can. You don't like the country you're in? Move.
Sure.
You're blaming the situation, but you should turn it and look at yourself.
And here's the point, whether you're right or wrong, your mother might be poisonous, but the second you take control of it, you become happier. Whether you're right or wrong about, like, I think everything is my fault. I'm logical to know that not everything is my fault, but the default of thinking everything is my fault actually makes me happy.
I get that.
Let's talk about number 9 on your book, and it's one that I've got here, which I've told you about, patience.
Yes.
Because I believe that, could you give us your views on just that word, patience?
The lack of it is also a huge factor to why people are unhappy. Everybody is looking for so much outside validation that they're impatient. They want to show everybody that they're successful, thus they're rushing into things. You have 23-year-olds who think that they don't have their life figured out, yet they're living for another 80 years. Patience has been huge for me. Most people hear the word patience and have it confused with complacency, laziness, lack of ambition. It's not true. I actually think patience has been foundational in my success. I decided to build my dad's business for him for the first 12 years of my career. That required huge patience from somebody who thought they were great. I didn't even start, quote unquote, until I was 34. Patience is huge, it's huge, and people don't want to do it because they want instant gratification. And more importantly, instant outside validation. My belief is that fear is powerful, and however you were brought up or what your ideology is on safety, you put having a job on a pedestal as something that's secure. The logic for all of us listening to you right now is if you're making double what you make in there, it seems like a very obvious step, but I'm empathetic that you're scared to make that jump. My thing to remind you and people out there in a similar situation is it's not very hard to get another job if you fail, if you leave this job. And so for me, if we were friends and we talked all the time, the thing I would always remind you every day is if you take the leap of faith and some reason it doesn't work, which by the way, if you're making double your salary as a side hustle, if you give 100% of your time to that, I have a funny feeling it's going to work out. But I would remind you that you could always go and get a job again in the same industry, maybe for a different company. Believe it or not, and I've seen this, sometimes for the same company because they missed you. That's what I would pound into your head, because whatever you grew up with, it created an ideology that a job was safe. Does that make sense to you, Mo?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much.
Listen, before you leave, you need to re-listen to that over and over and over. Every human being is the byproduct of what they listen to. So if you're listening to your parents or a +1 or somebody else that's saying, no, don't make the jump, you're not gonna make the jump. If you listen to somebody who's saying something practical like, take the jump, and oh, by the way, if it doesn't work, you can always go back, and if it fails, who cares about other people's judgment? Then you'll jump. Everybody who's listening right now is going to struggle with the concept because they're bringing their internet brain to the blockchain.
Okay.
Let me say that one more time. The blockchain is such a different platform than the internet that when I tell you that what an NFT is it's a digital asset that you own, most people don't understand that because they're like, well, that doesn't work on the internet. I can right click and save the image.
Yeah.
Sure.
So the same way that in 1994, 5, 6, when I told people that people would buy wine on the internet and everybody who was 20, 30, 40, 50 thought that was stupid, most people who think NFTs are stupid don't realize that they've become their mom and dad and grandparents.
Yeah.
Just like they thought the internet was stupid, email was stupid, the iPhone was stupid, social media was stupid, online dating was stupid. People don't realize that they are missing the boat on this technology. But the answer to your question is an NFT is a non-fungible token, which is a digital asset that you actually own. And when people say, well, why would I want to own something digitally? I'd need to hold it. Well, a lot of people who are driving right now want a blue check mark on their Instagram account, and guess what? You don't hold that. Yeah. A lot of people want 10 million followers on social media. You don't hold that. A lot of people live their life to take photos on the internet. You don't hold that. We are living a digital life, and if you have children that are buying skins on Fortnite.
Both my kids love buying skins.
Well, guess what? That's a digital asset. And as we go more digital, your clout, your status, your need to communicate is happening more digitally than it's happening in real life. People do things just for a photo on social media. It's human psychology. Last of all, it's a smart contract, meaning the digital asset can also mean something on the back end. So for example, I have a huge business conference in Minnesota in May called VCon. It's like a South by Southwest Coachella of business. And the only way you can get in is if you own a VFriend.
Wow.
It is the ticket.
Right. You're also opening up the first NFT restaurant in the world.
That's right, Flyfish Club, which will open next year, early next year in New York City.
Can I get membership?
If you buy it.
That's why he's so rich.
But it's super interesting. It's super interesting. A lot of people right now, especially in this town, they pay for a membership, country clubs, Soho House, all these things, but you pay. You don't own an asset. With NFTs, your membership is an NFT, but if you decide after 3 months you don't want to come anymore, you put it on the blockchain and you sell it. It's creating a world where your access or your membership becomes an asset, not an expense.
That.
So think about that.
So but the NFT restaurant that you're opening up, it's not a physical restaurant.
Oh, it's a physical restaurant.
I'll be able to walk into this thing.
Yeah, this is not the metaverse, which I think is much further away than people think. I don't think we're living in VR. And people mix metaverse and NFT. They're separate things.
Okay.
This is a physical restaurant that is going to be wildly premium, large location, highly in demand, that the NFT is just your membership. And so that will open in Q1 of next year.
Back to back, Garyvee's in the studio. He lands in the city, and then it's just go, 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 go. You just don't stop. You're in and out, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of maximizing all the time, right? So we're here, and we want to see everybody.
Don't waste time, right?
But don't burn yourself out, right? Like, don't waste time, but don't get it twisted. I got good 8 hours of sleep on the flight out here, and then we got in late, and I got another 6. Like, I'm all about sleep.
Yeah.
It's just that when I'm awake, I want to be as efficient as possible.
A personal question about you. Do you enjoy driving cars? Do you have a bunch of cars? Like, we know you got money. You don't buy cars?
I don't really understand the value. Like, to me, it's all about everyone has different things they like.
Yeah.
I don't understand the performance of a car. I don't want to go fast. Like, that's not my jam.
That's not your thing?
No.
Okay.
Well, like no jewelry either, right?
No jewelry. Like, I don't like things. I like the game. I like the process of being an entrepreneur. I don't like the things that come along with entrepreneurship. I really don't. I don't need the trophies. I just need to play my game. Only way, David beats Goliath is by going at it. What are they gonna do? Like, ultimately what's actually gonna happen is you're not important enough for them to actually spend the money and resources on it. But you poking them will give you micro market share growth.
So just go hard on it.
What are they gonna do? Talk it through. What are they gonna do? Outmarket you? They're gonna outmarket you anyway.
So the person in particular who said he's gonna crush us, basically, he's already started 2 implant companies, sold the first one 100 million, sold the second one 300 million. Said, the next one we're gonna price lower than you, and I have the credibility, you don't. So you're basically.
The fact that he's even talking to you is already the most interesting thing to me. Like, the fact that he even acknowledges you, I would never spend a second on a company smaller than mine. That's the most interesting part of it all. It speaks to, in my opinion, irrational competitiveness or / emotion, which could end up being the best thing for you. If you're a thorn in that person's side, he may end up referencing you more, which is gonna only help you. I'm fascinated by that. If somebody you haven't entered in at all yet, and they've already had 2 exits of those size, and this is the 3rd one, price is only just one variable. For example, this is where TikTok really matters. Price is one thing. Relevance always beats price. People pay more for things all the time if they think it's better or cooler or represents them more. Price doesn't scare me. What scares me is if David doesn't understand where the arbitrage is. How much is the implant?
So they're going to price at 100. We're thinking at 130.
Yeah, I mean, I would be very aggressive on TikTok. Very.
Okay. My last question for you, Gary. Just as a CEO, you got to keep your pulse on a lot of shit.
Yep.
If you have personal family crises going on, such as my daughter's medical condition, it's when the shit hits the fan. Basically, you still got a business to run and bills to pay. How do you think straight when you can't?
You don't. You don't. And I think the biggest thing I can tell you, my friend, is, as somebody who has not had to live through a level of challenge of that level, I feel incredibly inappropriate to speak to it first. Second of all, what I've observed from others, the only thing I can tell you that feels incredibly natural to me is my number one goal in life is not to live with regret. I don't think there's a single person on earth who chose their business over their family that feels great about it when they get older. I think every moment you spend on your family situation at the expense of your business is a good moment to be spent. Your business has a target on it. Every entrepreneur is looking at every localized business and trying to think about scale. And they're going to use modern marketing to create a moat, just like Zillow did, just like Amazon did, just like I did with Resy, the restaurant app, and OpenTable. It's all gonna be the same game. The internet is where the real world is. Everyone's like the metaverse and the VR and all this crazy stuff. We're living there now. Do you know how many hours are spent looking at this? Do you understand? We live there now. This has happened, whether you like it or not. You've decided to be an entrepreneur and a business owner or a senior executive. You decided. So that means you have to play on the field. In sports, it's obvious. When the greats, I will never forget, even though I hated him because I'm a Knicks fan, but Paul Pierce said something in some interview and I loved it. He said something like, they asked him when he knew it was over, right? When he had to retire. And he said something like, it was interesting, it was just one random game and this scrub got by me and I realized this guy would have never gotten by me ever before, and I can't believe he dominated me like that, and I knew it was over. And it stuck with me. In sports, it's obvious. In business, it's not. It's like whatever that gas is that is coming out of your car and then you just die in the garage because you didn't know. That thing, that's business. It's happening to you right now, but you just don't realize it. And that's because the technology lever, especially now, with what's going on with the blockchain, you have a blockchain and internet happening at the same time. And what makes me sad is you can harness it or you can put your head in the sand. It's just a very binary game. And I just don't know why you wouldn't. And so that's that. I didn't really get to the culture part as much as I want to, but I'm gonna sneak a little bit of it in. All of that is fine and dandy. If you land 3 awesome people to run your LinkedIn or 1, it's all fine and dandy. If you don't know how to manage in 2021, you're gonna lose. The options are ridiculous. Every 17-year-old that I know, and I know a trillion of them, I have 10 million followers on TikTok, every one of them have no interest in going to college or working for anyone because they can make $100,000 a year on TikTok. This isn't about these Gen Zers and millennials being spoiled. This is called options. They're not lazy, they just don't want to work for you. Like, it's very important. This is probably more important than what I spent the most of my time on. If you don't realize that kindness and empathy and compassion and all those things your grandma tried to teach you are actually becoming the core things you're gonna need in your business to succeed. I love this new thing going on, the Great Resignation, right? And everyone's blaming the government, rightfully so. Like if you pay people to stay home, they're gonna stay home. Like we understand that game, but let there be no confusion. There's a much more dangerous thing going on in there because that check is gonna stop. What's underneath there is options, right? And I see a lot of head shaking, and I'll tell you why. Many of you have been baffled by your kid or your kid's friend making real money on TikTok and they're 14 and you're like, what the hell is going on? This is happening. And so look, when I talk like this, I always laugh because I can always hear my dad or other people's voices in the crowd. Like, I'm very empathetic to somebody sitting, listening to me right now and saying, you know what? I'm retired. I get it, because it's changing so fast and hard. It's like, ugh, I've gone hard for 50 years. Do I really want a 30 years? Do I really? That's on you, but it doesn't mean it's not happening. And that's the point of this talk today, which is a lot's happening. And just to catch everybody up, the concept is if you're trying to do local business, the Facebook groups are doing so well, especially in that 40 to 75-year-old demo, that if you create something a little more evergreen, literally back to your point, like back to the prior one, the Atlanta Small Business Facebook group, Buckhead Small Business Group, or like Denver Moms Club, and if you're the host, you're the host. And if you can build up that group, you can do localized marketing inside of it.
Cool. I also want to start looking at ways to probably run some targeted ads on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Going after specific companies that are the right size for what I want.
Yep.
Because what I really need is I need a practice where it's one guy in charge and he may have some junior partners, or it may be at the most maybe 3 partners. Because when we get much bigger than that, it's hard to get the buy-in from everybody.
Makes a ton of sense based on what you're doing.
So, for me to do that, do I actually target the companies or do I go after just this size of institution?
It depends on what LinkedIn's gonna, sometimes when it's too small, the targeting capabilities are not there.
Okay.
So you have to pay a little more for it to be a little more broad, but still get what you're looking for.
Okay. Do I run static ads or videos or?
Both.
Okay.
The number one thing with social media ads that everybody misunderstands is it's the creative, not the media.
Okay. So try everything.
Because it's the only way you're gonna get your math right. Even when something's working, you gotta do more, and most people only run 1 or 2 or 3 different variations of creative and call it a day and decide if a platform works when you're supposed to do hundreds of variations. Which is why I want everybody to do, for example, I would love for you to start a show to answer questions for those brokers so that you can then chop up the show and run them as ads.
Okay.
So like it's even another move above that, which is like, how are you gonna keep creating so much ads? Well, what if you actually had a Q&A show, which is really in essence answering, that's the whole point of why Q&A works. Ask Garyvee was so brilliant because it's no different than Google ads. Google ads work because it's intent-based marketing. People are searching something they want to answer. My Q&A show works because it's the temperament, Tea with Garyvee, it works because that's the current temperament of what people want to know. One person usually represents 10,000 people's question.